Good evening, everyone. This is Jeremy Lee speaking. Hope you all had a very great Sunday. This is my last post for Module 5 of EDL 558. The numbers run together at times. Social justice. It's been a very great semester. I really enjoyed this class and getting to speak with you all and seeing your thoughts on certain topics. And so without further ado, I'll get right into it. So this one was more so related to the culmination of the class and discussing kind of like final thoughts and allowing an opportunity for us to start to think more inwardly about some of the topics at hand. And so that's pretty much what I've started to do, but I'll kind of get into what we learned through the text this week. First of all, I love the opening quote. There are 5 different quotes on the first page, and one of the portions of the quote that really spoke the most to me is that social justice itself is a process and a goal. I think that kind of is a good way to kind of start off discussing the last bit of this course. Over the time of the semester, we learned about how you may go through the process of making everyone feel like they're welcome and inclusive in higher ed, and making sure that we always do our best to keep in mind everyone, regardless of what their identities may be. Through working with our own identity, our people in our groups for our LARs, I'm sure we've experienced like talking with people of different backgrounds. That's been very great, and I think that kind of speaks to the process. Getting to know these people, getting to know what they're about, getting to know their struggles, their advantages, and how they feel about their role in higher ed. Do they really feel welcome at the institutions, and what can we do to make sure they feel welcome? And so I think that's the process in itself is that, and then the goal is overall get to the point where they can feel welcome. I think that it's a long-term thing, and it might be rather lofty in its vision, but our goal ought to always be to hopefully one day see a higher ed society, a society in general, where everyone can feel love and they don't feel like they're discriminated against. They don't feel judged. They don't feel like they're just not a part of a group anymore. They can come and learn and enjoy their time in college, wherever they may choose to go in life. And so that's kind of the goal of social justice, and it takes those small processes to get to where we need to get to make it happen. But we must keep going. So the liberation politics is also something that spoke out to me a lot about that mission, and the definition kind of goes back to what I said about the earlier quote. The idea of actually having someone who can seek awareness, analysis, action, and accountability. Those 4 A's really, to me, are the embodiment of what social justice is to me. Kind of making sure you are aware, making sure you do take the time to kind of realize what it is, and thinking inwardly about what I can do to make a situation better. They're all very important, and I think also doing something. We have a lot of folks who will say they understand or they know, or they're watching things happen, they're watching people fight for their rights or whatever it may be, and they just will kind of sit quietly and do nothing at all, not even make the person feel like they're welcome or they're supportive of them. And I think that in itself is an issue. That's a way to work through and work past. So I think that sometimes liberation politics does seem very great. At times, it's also a little intimidating because it makes us realize that sometimes the world will not be perfect, or is not seemingly perfect, or that students will one day come to our institution and will leave our portals and leave our presence and will not feel as if they don't feel welcome or included at times. And so, the idea of liberation politics itself seems to be intimidating, but it's also very rewarding because I know that's something for me to work toward one day. I know that every day when I go to work, I know that I want to make sure every student that comes in contact with me knows they are welcome to come in here and express themselves and be themselves and learn in this higher ed society. And so that's kind of great to me. The next portion were the main portions talking about privilege and how you need to kind of fight and combat privilege. Acknowledging that privilege is real, paying attention to disadvantaged groups who don't benefit from your privilege. Also learning to listen from people, and also taking a risk and doing something, taking that action, doing something. I think that's something I've had to learn over the semester, working with my students who were African American as well as homosexual, and most of them are PWIs. Learning about the fact that while I do share one thing with them being African Americans, I share another with them being males. There is an extra portion I don't understand, that's them being gay or bisexual and how they embrace where they are. And I've had a lot of friends who are gay or bisexual. I've talked to a lot of them about what they do, and I thought I understand a lot about the experience, but I also realized I have ways to go. There's some things I need to realize and learn about. There's some things I had to kind of remind myself, hey, how does this look in the eyes of this person? Or how does this decision I'm making affect someone else who may not be like me? And that's kind of the goal of this course, and the goal of social justice itself, is to make people have that moment to stop and think of our actions and what the reaction will be to other people. Lastly, the idea of courage, and that's kind of where I wanted to wrap up with my portion, and I'm getting close to time, but just the idea of making sure you have the courage to stand up for what's right, have the courage to stand up to make sure everyone feels welcome. You never know what students you may impact. You never know what students you may come in contact with. You'll never know what challenges you'll face, but whatever it may be, you always want to ensure and and be sure that whatever you're doing will make everyone feel like they're welcome to achieving education. While it may seem lofty that they'll finish their 4, 5, or 6 college years and then go into a world they may not like them as much, at least they'll go in knowing that somewhere was a community they really learned from, a community that empowered them, a community that made them feel like they were somebody. And that's what the goal ought to be for all of us in our higher ed experiences, is that we create that community and create that safe place for them. So that's what all I really would want as a higher ed administrator. I would want for students to know that when they come see Jeremy, or they come see Mr. Lee, or maybe Dr. Lee one day, fingers crossed, that they'll know that wherever they come, they'll know they're welcome here. And so thank you all for a very great semester. I've enjoyed this class. Dr. Villa, thank you for your points as well. I look forward to hearing your all's responses. So have a good night.